Hi there guys, today we're going to be setting up a Oracle database with our XAMPP web development environment. For this we're going to need 3 files. There's an optional file as well if you want to test this before you start programming PHP away and then realise nothing works. The first file we're going to need, if you don't already have it installed, is the XAMPP web development environment. The second one will be the Oracle XE database installer. This is basically a free version of Oracle which you can use to develop and whatever. The third one is the instant client, also provided by Oracle, which acts as a layer between the PHP OCI extension and the database itself. So a quick Google will get you these files. XAMPP is hosted on Apache Friends. Make sure you get the right version for your operating system. These instructions are pretty much similar throughout each operating system. Obviously they all have their little quirks which you have to work out, but if you get any trouble with Linux or Mac, just give us a shout and let's see if we can find out what to do. But these installers are pretty much very easy to find. A search for Oracle XE will get you straight to the page. The second link down will actually get you straight to the download page. Remember, it's free, however you will have to sign up for an account, and it's not one of the nicest sign up forms, unfortunately. It's the same thing again with Google Instant, Oracle Instant Client. Make sure once again you get the right version, the 64 and 32-bit versions there. The last file is just a paste bin. You can copy and paste this and save it as a index.php file. Basically we'll be selecting all the rows from the Oracle database from a table called names, which we'll create later on. The only thing, this example has come from the OCI example page on php.net. The only difference really is I've put our own credentials in we're going to be using for this test environment. Right, let's get rid of that. So with all these downloaded, you're going to want to install them, and I'm going to stop the video here because the installation on this virtual machine I'm running can take quite a while. Just make sure you during the installation of XAMPP, for example, just make sure you pick the right options. Some of them you can install them as services if you want. If you don't know what a service is, then don't do it. And basically it'll just help it start up XAMPP when you turn on your computer. So if you do a lot of web development, it'll be pretty handy. You don't have to keep on turning stuff on in order for you to use it. I'm going to turn this off now and come back when it's done. Right, so XAMPP has finished extracting itself. It doesn't actually install anything in the traditional sense. As far as I remember, even on a proper machine, it does take a little bit to do because it does extract quite a lot from itself. There's just a couple of necessary things you need to do. I'm just going to show you how to start XAMPP up and the different options in it if you don't already know. Feel free to skip ahead if you do know these bits. Right, because you are installing servers that accept connections, Windows will give you the security alert if you run Windows. If you do not want to be able to access your web server outside of your home network, then just click allow access the way it is. Otherwise you could tick public networks, and with a little bit of NAT control on your router you'd be able to access that web service from your computer, but then so would everybody else. But that's out of scope for this video really. Once you've finished, it'll ask you if you want to start the XAMPP control panel. If you say yes, I've been getting this weird error here. I'm not too sure if it means anything. I've tried running it from the directory, but it still runs pretty well. As you can see here, this is the control panel. We only installed 3 services: Apache, which is the web server, which has PHP included in it; MySQL, which is the free and open source database service, quite popular, but it's not quite Oracle. FileZilla is a FTP service. I've never actually used it, but I just installed it by default. Now I've installed them all as services. As you can see here, it says service, and like I said before, they will start when I reboot this machine, and they'll always be running in the background. There's nothing else we really need to do here, so if you just minimize this for now, it'll be down. If you minimize it, it'll be down here. Actually, if you just click the X button as well, it will also still be in your taskbar, and then get on to the installation of Oracle itself. This one does take quite a while. I think it takes longer than XAMPP itself. The only option I think there is for you need to configure is setting a password for the system and the sys users that will that the database will use as default users. Obviously use a password you want, make sure it's secure, make sure it's nothing that you don't mind being, you know, vulnerable, since it's only a testing environment. Just make sure, just for your reference, sorry, where I'm going to be using the password because this is a test and the virtual machine doesn't really matter. Once again, I'm going to stop and wait for this to finish installing. Right, when you finish the installation of Oracle Express Edition, the last thing before you hit finish, there'll be a checkbox asking if you want to go to the database homepage. I've already done that step here by mistake. But either way, if you leave that checked and you press finish, it'll open up your browser and you'll be shown this screen here. Now, Oracle comes with its own web-based interface. It reminds me similar in vein to PHP MyAdmin, but it's not the same, as Oracle and MySQL are very much not the same in most ways. So to log in, you use the system user that's comes with by default in Oracle, and use the password you put in during setup. So if we stick that in, system and password on mine, I'll log it in. Now here's the administration screen. There's quite a lot here, feel free to explore in your own time. However, all we're going to do here is create a new user. So if you click the administration button, database users, and create user. Right, so the user we're going to create is called test_php. As you can see, I've done this before. We're going to put the password in as password again, and that's all we're going to do. Expire password is a feature on many things, just so you have a test account that runs out after a certain day. Account status, I'm pretty sure it's to do with whether you can access the server from an external network or not, so for it, or just outside of his computer. So if it's locked, no, you can only access the database, or this user, sorry, can only access the database from the local host from this computer. If it's unlocked, it can be accessed from across the internet, from across the local network, whatever. We're going to leave it as unlocked for now. It doesn't. This is just a testing environment on this machine, so it doesn't really matter if it's locked or unlocked. User privileges, leave them as they are. You know, a PHP application shouldn't need to have to create all of this. Normally, it depends on your application. If you know what you want, then obviously click what you need. So I'm going to create this user here. My virtual machine is slow. And as you can see, it says our user is created. And here we have a HR user, which is the default user for Oracle, like the test user, so you can try out a few things. There's already some tables in that schema. Basically, the links to do with Express Edition, how to get started, we'll probably use that a lot in examples, but we don't really care about that. We care about this test PHP user, and that's what we're going to use to test to see that our link has been set up. Now we're done for this for now. One thing I didn't mention earlier was the fact that I just assumed that that all this said running, that it was running fine, just because I've installed XAMPP quite a few times and there's normally not a problem. To know if XAMPP's really running, if you go to localhost/XAMPP in your browser and you get this page here, you'll know XAMPP's running. And if you want to know PHP is running, just click the PHP info button, and if you get all this spiel saying PHP blah 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 blah, that is telling you PHP is working. Just make sure in Chrome, I've noticed Chrome does this, other browsers might as well, you need to put HTTP in, otherwise it'll Google search and actually suggest, did you actually mean to put HTTP localhost? It's just something that catches me out every now and then. But before we get on to anything else, there's a couple things we need to do now before we're finished with the installation of Oracle and PHP and their integration into XAMPP. And the first thing is the instant client. The instant client acts, as I've probably mentioned before, as the interface between PHP and Oracle, sorry. So all we need to do is, because it's a zip file, is you just double click it, copy the contents, paste it out into wherever you have the rest of the stuff, just for simplicity. Once again, you don't have to do it this way, but just remember where you've actually extracted the files to if you do. We're just going to let this extract. So slow. Cool, now that's done. We're going to go to our start menu, right click computer and go to properties. Right, this is our system properties screen, shows you stuff like my processor and how much memory this virtual machine is running on. Very little, very little. Anyway, we're going to go to advanced system settings and go to environment variables here. Basically these environment variables are for different things. Mostly I've never actually used them apart from this path variable, and that's what we're actually going to edit now. The path variable tells Windows where to find certain programs, so it'll look in that directory first before it actually looks anywhere else, which is quite handy. So what we need to do is we need to put the instant client, the instant client here, in order so that when PHP calls up the OCI and OCI wants to interface with the database, that it knows where to find the instant client in order to do so. Help if I spell it right. Instant client _11_2 \. Right. Now remember, this is going to be pointing to wherever you extracted it, so make sure you get the proper directory. If it's on your desktop, you know, it'll be like C drive users, your username, desktop. Just make sure you get that right, otherwise it will not work. So once you've done that, press OK and everything. Right.